pastry stouts. And she's like,
Yes.
nope, can't drink that without me.
Yes. Well, on that fact... Oh, wait, sorry, we got to start. Welcome to Talking Heads, everyone. Episode 353, and I said it correctly this time. Your
Yay.
once weekly live show for the latest in beer and tech news. I'm Jeff.
And I'm Steve.
Welcome to the show, everyone. Thank you all so much for watching on this Wednesday night or in podcast over on Spotify or wherever your favorite podcasts are found. I still want to say Anchor. Anchor.fm rolls off the tongue so much better. If you've never seen the show before, we talk beer, we talk tech, we talk games, pop culture, entertainment, sometimes some Star Trek. All super chats are read in the air so long as they will not permanently demonetize the channel, although a better way to help support the show would be to head on over to craftcomputing.store, pick up some of our fantastic glassware, coasters, bottle openers, and start drinking like a pro. Last but not least, if you'd like to take part in the super secret chat or the even more super secret after party, think about joining the Patreon. Link is down in the video description. As a bonus, you'll get exclusive access to my Discord server, where you can chat with myself, John, Rhett, Steve, all the hosts from Talking Heads, and join the awesome community that hangs out over there.
Yep, I have the Talking Heads channel up right here for Discord, monitoring it while we chat.
It is a happening place.
It is. I gotta read the YouTube chat and the Discord chat. It's a good thing we don't have a third chat because I think it would get a little too crazy.
Well, I host a couple of different Discords. I also host a Discord that's just for my YouTuber friends. And so, like, anyone who's anyone in the tech tube space, I try to get on there. Even if they're not people in the tech tube space, I try to get them on there. No, yeah, it's there's a lot going on. Yeah, the mod chat. Skull says mod chat is always pretty good. We can say things there we can't say elsewhere.
Unfiltered and raw.
That's right. I forgot it's Jeff Day.
Yeah.
Yeah. YouTube Secret Santa. Yes, we do a Secret Santa every year, and in fact, you'll start hearing those reminders for sign-ups here probably in the next week or so. We were talking about getting that rolling earlier this week. So
now, to be clear, it's a beer Secret Santa, not anything Secret Santa.
Right.
Yeah.
Beer Secret Santa. Elmo says, tonight I'm just drinking Stella, have homework to do. Nothing wrong with that. I didn't even have a beer in today's video. I didn't have beer.
Didn't, huh?
I didn't have coffee. I didn't have anything.
I didn't get a chance to watch it yet.
Yeah. I think it's only like the second or third time I've done that. And a couple people noticed.
I wasn't thirsty that day. What are you going to do?
That's right.
I wasn't thirsty.
Yeah. No, I had other things to do that day, and it was like a midday, and it's like, I'm not drinking coffee at 2 p.m. That's just...
Right.
That sounds bad. And... sitting there with the water is a little weird. I didn't feel like tea. I didn't even have a soda. It's like, all right, let's just go.
You were in a beverage limbo is basically where you were.
Terra Pup's having a Sam Adams Flannel Fest. Nice little fall beer there. Skull says, did someone say pastry stout?
That's right. Maybe. I did mention it, but I'm not having one, sadly. This is unfortunate. I wanted to. I did.
This guy might have a pastry stout lined up. Novella's got an Insight/Ven Brewing collab. Leafy Greens Extra Dank IPA.
Oh, extra dank. Kind of miss dank beer sometimes.
Yeah.
Sometimes I don't, but sometimes I like them.
Skull's having an Athletic Run Wild non-alcoholic IPA.
Athletic's great.
And Skull says, may need to pack a pack of these for PDX LAN. Actually, the first day of PDX LAN,
we did that.
I usually go. There's a Walmart, and there's a Safeway, and there's a couple other places right by where we're at. I usually grab like 2 6-packs of Athletic, and that's the drink I'm slamming down in between monsters. So,
not Rockstars, monsters.
That's right. So yeah, Athletic, great way to stay hydrated. Hashtag not sponsored, although Athletic, call me. Like
That's right.
I'd be thrilled.
Actually, I have quite a few Athletics I can bring this year that John gave me because he got a bunch of stuff from Athletic actually, and so they sent me. I got tons of stuff still in the fridge.
Vince says, speaking of which, I think I've got some sake in the fridge. Time to bust it out. That sounds wonderful tonight.
Sake, man. I haven't had sake in a while.
I did have I had a small bottle maybe about 3 or 4 months ago.
Yeah.
I don't buy it very often, but it is
No,
nice
neither
on
do I.
occasion. Yeah.
Well, the liquor store close to me just got a sake section, which is interesting. They have a section for Japanese whiskey and sake.
Yep.
I'm like, oh, all right, maybe I got to get into it now.
My local grocery store has a gigantic wine section, and they actually have an entire rack just for sake. It's great.
Sake could be good.
That's right.
Have you had soju before?
I have not had soju.
It's like the Korean version of sake, basically, but it comes in like a juice box.
Okay.
So it looks like you're drinking a kid's juice box.
Ooh, adult Capri Suns. I love it.
It's adult Capri Sun, basically.
Let's see. Rev says cracking open an Excelsior Imperial Mango Cider from Schilling Cider House, 9.1%.
Oh yeah, Schilling, they're good.
Absolutely a Star Trek reference. Yes. In fact, I think I've had that one. Schilling makes one of my wife's favorite ciders. It's their Moscow Mule cider, and it's freaking fantastic. In fact, last time we were at PDX Land, we went to a pizza place, and they had like 12 cans in stock, and I went, I will take those, because it's a hard to find cider, and random pizza place had a whole bunch of cans in stock, so I snagged them all and put them in the truck.
No, the pizza place we go to, sometimes they have like a pretty decent selection. I think one year we went, I don't think it was it last time, but the time before, they had like a bunch of like aged Palabras.
Yeah.
And they were going for cheap. They were like going for $10 a bottle.
Yeah.
But they were like 2016, 2015. And I'm like, how could you? I guess they don't know that's kind of sought after.
I think they know. I think the people there know. What they do is they pay sticker and then they just cellar them. And kind of like Corvallis Homebrewer used to do, is they would just bring random bottles out of the cellar and put them in the cooler. And hey, we made our 30%. Whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. It was pretty good for an pre-aged beer.
Yeah, and I mean, like I said, once you get enough stock flowing, it's just like, okay, we bought, bottles 10 years ago, and we're still buying bottles today, and we're selling the bottles for, the markup that you would buy them for back then.
Right.
We're not losing any money anymore.
No, they're still making money, yeah.
Right. So yeah. Let's see. Cheese said, sadly, his care pack from John Jay isn't here yet. Oh, man. And next week, we're going to be in San Francisco. By the way, next week will be partially excuse me, a special time slot. We're still figuring out exactly where we're going to be, but it's going to be me and who else ever wants to show up in San Francisco. We have
just got to find a place, huh?
Yeah, I think we have a place, and we have a break in our schedule at 5:30, and so I think we're gonna rush over, open up the laptop, slam a GoPro down, and get like wireless mics on everyone, and we'll just sit there and hang out for an hour and a half or 2 hours or whatever time that we have, because I think we have dinner at like 7 or something like that. So it'll be kind of an abbreviated show wherever we can fit it in. Or we'll punt until the next day or something like that. Still a work in progress, still a bit in flux. So, yeah. Anyway, I'm dying to know what beers you have so I can show you up tonight.
Okay, I'm sure you will. It's sick. I would have showed you up if I could have gotten my way, but I got overruled by the wife. So I decided to go very seasonal since it is October, very early October. So that brings the pumpkin beers. Pumpkin beers are here. This is a new one from Fort George. It's the Topaz Spiced Pumpkin Ale. And I think it's the first time they released it this year, because Fort George has had pumpkin beers before, but this is a new one, I believe. So we'll give that one a shot. And besides pumpkin ales being something special this time of year, we also have a fresh hop. I have a fresh hop Hyperion by Viterial. Virial? I don't know. I've never heard of these guys before, but
Yeah.
it's an imperial fresh hop. So it's like an 8.3%.
Nice.
There's no slouch on this one, but it is a fresh hop. So excited for that one as well. But pumpkin beer, I like them sometimes, and sometimes I don't. So we'll see how this one goes.
So I've got a couple of interesting ones. This one I didn't want to hold on to for too much longer. I was saving it for a video.
Mm-hmm.
But where's Yakto at? I haven't seen Yakto yet tonight, and this is one that he gave me. If he doesn't show up in the next couple seconds, I'm going to run upstairs and grab a different beer because I wanted to
You want to drink
I
it?
wanted. Well, Yakto gave me this beer, so I kind of want to.
Mm.
Yeah.
Oh, you could wait till the second half. Maybe he'll show up.
No, I can't.
You got to do it. That's going to be your first one.
That's got to be the first one. Yeah, that has to be the first one.
Okay. Okay.
Because there's this weird little tag on my second one.
Oh yeah.
In fact, I might just run upstairs real quick. I think I'm gonna audible, and I'm gonna grab a different beer because he usually watches the show, and if he's not gonna watch, then I am gonna save this beer. So I will be back in like 3 seconds.
The one time he's not here, yeah, Yakto's in a meeting, of course.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I have to say though, when you go up and grab stuff, I could just talk more about pumpkin beers, I guess. Who else likes pumpkin beers? I saw somebody else on the thing. Terrapup likes pumpkin beers. There used to be Pumpkin Brewfest not that far from us. We used to go every year, and it was full of just mixed signals. It was some pumpkin beers were like, oh, that's a really big pumpkin spice, pumpkiny flavor. And others was just like, you can't even taste it. And it was really kind of vegetably tasting. Nothing really special. So I find pumpkin beers a mixed bag, but sometimes they're awesome. No Morrowind? Yeah, I'm not going to talk about Morrowind. That's a Rhett thing. I'll talk about every other game except Morrowind. I mean, I do have quite a few other games to talk about. If anybody wants to try to friend me on Steam. Source and adding rice to beer like bud.
All right.
Oh, just back.
Yakto says he'll be home in 5, but I'm still going to open a different beer.
Okay.
So I grabbed an old standby. I got an Alaskan Amber.
Okay, that's a fair one. Yeah. Ain't nothing wrong with that.
That's right.
Well, it could also be a 3-beer night too.
It could be. Yeah, well,
it could be.
It might turn into that.
Yeah. So that's what you're gonna do the amber first, right?
I'm doing the amber first. Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna do the IPA first because I'll save the pumpkin for later. It'll be like dessert, maybe. Maybe it'll taste like pumpkin pie. Maybe it won't. I don't know.
Yep. So yeah, Alaskan Brewing Amber Ale, 5.3. Technically, it's called an alt style ale.
Alt style. I don't know why. It's just amber. It's an amber ale. There's just no an amber alt ale style about it. Yeah.
Little brown, little malty.
Yeah.
That's it. And it looks fantastic in that glass.
I know it does. Oh man, I put mine in the wrong. I got this one specifically for the pumpkin beer. Oh well. It'll work. All right, I'm excited to smell this.
Yeah, and Skull says, pour one out for the M.2 SATA adapter, which lived an awfully short life. Yes, it did.
Oh, no. Where'd you get that from? Is that from today?
This is from today's video. This is a, if you didn't see today's video, this is a wild little card. It's an M.2 PCI Express card that has two 8087 SFF SATA ports. Each of these will support 4 SATA drives. There's 2 SATA controllers on board.
Nice.
So the motherboard that I was using for today's server build didn't have any SATA ports on it. It expects you to use only NVMe. It's a workstation board, and I'm like, well, I wanted to put it in a NAS. I wanted that processor
that makes sense.
with,
Yeah.
So I got this guy. And I knew this was going to be sketchy. I knew this was like maybe it'll work, maybe it won't, but it'll be fun to find out. And I plugged the cables into it, and there was so much torque on those cables, you could see the card flexing in the slot.
Yeah.
M.2 PCBs are super thin to begin with.
They are.
And then when you have this much leverage on them, it got wild pretty quick. And so the bottom SATA controller actually showed up just fine. And then the top one, the first time I plugged it in, it showed up as a device and said in Windows said code 10, device will not start. Oh, did it come out of the slot slightly? And so I took it all apart, and then I put it in the slot a little bit further, and then fired it up, and I still only got one controller to recognize. Only this time, only the bottom controller showed up. The top one didn't show up at all. And I'm like, well, that's weird. So I put my finger on the top chip.
Right.
Magma hot.
Oh, God. Okay.
Dead short.
Yeah.
And so I took out my thermal camera, and it was like 75C.
Oh, my God.
Just sitting there by itself. The other one was like 40, 42. It was like barely
like at normal temperatures you would see. Yeah.
So there's a dead short in the top SATA controller.
Do you think that was from the torque, the twisting of it a little bit, or?
It could have been damage to the PCB. Again, this is only a 2-layer board, and if it broke a trace on the board from the amount of twisting or torque,
that could be it. Yeah,
I don't see anything physically wrong with it, but who knows?
You never know.
Yeah. Novella Hub says toss it in the oven. I don't have a spare oven. I don't like reflowing solder in things that I use to cook food. And so maybe I'll head to Goodwill and see if I can find a toaster oven for $5.
Toaster oven, like a cheap toaster oven. Yeah. Or just a toaster. Put it in there like a Pop-Tart.
Yeah.
So set it for 3 minutes.
So, yep. Yeah, that was disappointing. But I have other solutions in mind. In fact, I ordered another solution today that I think is going to work, and it'll work okay. I think it'll work okay.
But you're not gonna divulge it here tonight. It's a surprise. Yeah, this IPA is actually really good. I approve. I don't know if you had too many fresh hop beers lately, but the Fresh Hop Beer Festival is next weekend too.
Nice.
Yeah, if you didn't know,
I forgot about that. That's Albany, right?
St. Paul.
St. Paul. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
The solution Jeff really has in mind is the amber ale. Yes.
Yes.
Yes, it is.
Alcohol is a solution.
Mm-hmm. ZWS support is here. Yes. Yeah, Yakto's in chat. So, hello, Yakto.
Oh, Yakto's here. Okay.
Yep.
A little too late, though.
Yep. Well, I have a video coming up, which actually involves Yakto slightly more. This beer was simply in my fridge, and I'm like, we'll open it today. But then I'm like, no, that's right. I was saving it for a video. I forgot about that. And in fact, the part arrived that I was going to save this video for. I just need to get it from Yakto. So. Novella Hub says, not St. Paul, Minnesota. Yeah.
No. Yeah, right.
No, we have a St. Paul too.
Yeah, but it's I wouldn't say it's the same size.
Yeah.
It's actually probably one of the smaller cities in Oregon, to be honest. But it's where a lot of the hop farms are. There's a couple of big hop farmers out there, so that's why they have it out there.
Sorry, Yakto and I are throwing hacker references back and forth in chat.
Yes,
I should be paying attention to the show. I really should. And speaking of, let's go ahead and get this show started.
Alrighty.
This one, I know it's been slowly creeping out, but it hit me today and it pissed me off enough that I want to talk about it. And that is Google Chrome finally I don't think I put this article in the notes, but if you go to the YouTube channel or the YouTube show itself, it's the top note on there.
Okay.
There is actually a link. In 2023, we actually talked about this. Google made a statement that they were going to remove all extensions from Google Chrome. You could no longer install applets or Chrome extensions. And there was a lot of outrage about that.
Oh yeah. There's a ton of people developing stuff for it.
There's a ton of applications that people use, that people rely on. I mean, everything from computer-based stuff, and what I mean by that is like networking, as far as plugins for website inspections. There's plugins for VPN and DNS services. There's plugins for all kinds of things like that. There are accessibility plugins for hard of hearing, for blind, for people that need assistance browsing the web.
Oh, the extended Steam plugin is excellent. If you guys don't ever have that, that's like, I use that all the time, and it's wonderful.
Yeah. I have an extension called Download Them All. And so quite often I have to like download archives of things or archives of different driver versions or whatever else. And so with one click, I can download every downloadable file on a website. And that's an invaluable tool when I'm trying to compare firmware versions or things like that for some of the investigations and projects that I do. There are some really powerful extensions out there, and Google decided to wage war on ad blockers and was going to simply remove all extensions from Chrome. And the outcry was fast and fierce. And so Google backed off of that stance. Although they came back out early this year and said 2024, we will still be blocking ad blockers. And I think a lot of us heard this and we went, yeah, that'll never happen. Like there'll be something that uBlock or AdBlock or any of the others do that it'll get around it. Well, today my browser updated on my main desktop. It still hasn't on this one, but on my main desktop it did. And I was simply browsing around. I went to ESPN and I noticed there was an ad bar at the top of ESPN, and I went, well, that's weird. And I'm going to pick on ESPN because it's simply the one that I noticed that it happened. And there was like one little square one off to the right-hand side. I went, I'm getting ads on ESPN. That's a little weird. Oh, well, whatever. They're not intrusive. They're not, full-page video playing, things like that. But I went, And so I clicked on AdBlock, or on uBlock Origin, which is my ad blocker of choice. And it says 0 ads blocked on this page. Well, that's interesting.
See, I have uBlock Origin as well, and mine is still working as of right now.
Yeah.
So,
but I was just working on the PC throughout the day. I was editing a video. I was checking up on news. I was looking for news articles for tonight's stream, and I clicked on an Imager link for something.
Okay.
And I got 12 ads just all over the page. And I went, oh, right. This is why we use AdBlock. Because pages like this are cancer.
They are. Oh, absolutely.
And I went, what the crap? And so I actually went to the Discord server and I said, hey, is uBlock having problems? Did like the internet as a whole, or did Google figure out how to kill uBlock Origin? And someone reminded me, oh no, you probably got the latest version of Chrome. Yep. And indeed I did. I don't remember which version it is. I can probably check for those curious right now. A prepared streamer would have checked long before now. But
now I'm kind of curious because I don't have the article pulled up.
Yeah.
How exactly do they know that you have uBlock Origin? Are they just going by the name, or are they doing like a bit check on the CRX?
uBlock Origin is still installed and it is still active. What it is some of the API for the backend that uBlock Origin utilizes to block ads. So I am on Where's the about? Come on. 129.0.6668. That is the version that is on my primary desktop.
Of Chrome?
Yes.
668.89?
Let me see. Interesting. My desktop over here is the same version and uBlock is still working.
Yeah, because I have 666.89 and uBlock is still working.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Interesting.
It wants me to relaunch with an update, and I don't want to.
That may be. How long has your browser been open?
It's been open all day. So yeah, that could be. Yeah, somebody's saying that they're on 70 official build. Now,
yeah,
I'm kind of curious about it's like you said, okay, maybe they blocked a particular API because you can sideload extensions. You don't have to go through their store.
Yeah.
So you can always sideload them pretty easily. So I wonder if somebody's going to use like a third-party API, and then you can just sideload it.
There may be that eventually, but removing the ability to install it from the App Store,
right? It's just going to make it not readily available. Yeah.
I mean, are you going to walk your mother-in-law through?
Nope.
Right, through installing uBlock Origin.
No.
So it irritated me so much that I haven't used PiHole in a couple years, and it's not because
I still use it.
It's not because it's not a great program. It's because all I use is browsers and unblocking the TVs from PiHole so we could get ads delivered so we could watch the content on there.
Certain content, yeah. It's the free content, yeah.
Right. Was just an absolute pain in that.
It was a pain, to do that. Yeah.
And so I actually stopped using PiHole in favor of just making sure everyone has AdBlockers installed. And then I don't do a lot of browsing on my phone, and so I just kind of dealt with it, big deal. But I got so irritated today that I just reinstalled PiHole, and I actually went a couple steps further. It is now the default DNS within my network, and I set up a captive portal. So anything outgoing on my network on port 53 gets redirected to PiHole before it goes. And so my devices can no longer get DNS from anywhere but PiHole. And PiHole is going through Cloudflare's DNS sync, or DNSSEC. So encrypted DNS.
Oh, nice.
So Google, don't F with me.
Yeah, no, I've been using a combination of uBlock and PiHole for the last couple of years, and it's been great. It doesn't block every single ad. Obviously, it's almost impossible to block YouTube ads. But for the most part, I would say it's 95% there. It blocks most things with the combo of those two.
Yeah. And I mean, I have YouTube Premium, and so, that's not a huge
deal. With YouTube Premium, you have to worry about that,
But, no, people are complaining that, or saying that they have the same version of Chrome, and their uBlock Origin is working just fine. I'm not sure, then. But something on my main desktop killed AdBlock. And, I don't do anything on that. That's a brand new install, and all I do is edit videos. And so I can't imagine anything being on there that would compromise that.
Yeah. I want to see, because I know that Edge uses Chromium.
Yeah.
And so all my extensions usually come over. I want to see. Let me go someplace here.
The thing that
ESPN, you're talking about. You're saying ESPN was serving you up some ads. No, my uBlock on Edge is working.
Okay. Yeah, so what they were talking about is killing manifest v3 extension formats, of which uBlock Origin is one of those. But it still works. And like I said, uBlock was on, and I could use the little dropper tool, or now it's the lightning bolt tool, to select elements and remove them. And that worked just fine. Vince is saying Google does blind A/B testing. They enable some features for some and not for others to do slow rollout testing. Browser number doesn't matter. Okay. Yeah, okay. And I was wondering if it was something related to that. And if it's the number one reason why I won't use Chrome anymore because it's too effing hard to troubleshoot for clients. Yes.
Oh, yeah. No, I used a plugin, a Chrome plugin for in-house automation and testing. Mm-hmm. And yeah, it's a pain because you have to update that plugin all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. So, sorry, V2 extension formats, not V3. I think I said V3. So yeah, I'm one of the unlucky ones, it would seem.
I guess you lost the Chrome lottery.
I lost the game.
Yeah, you did. Game over. Game over, man.
That's okay. I know how to install PiHole. And John Ness says, so you're going to be doing a video on how to set up properly for us noob home labbers? Absolutely. Actually, one of my most popular videos of all time is setting up PiHole as a recursive DNS server. So your local PiHole would actually serve as an authoritative DNS. It doesn't have to go out every single time you request a domain. It only goes out when it needs to update domain pointers. It actually saves on bandwidth, and it removes even the ability for people to dig through DNSSEC records of you, let alone plaintext DNS. So it's a really nice solution. That actually, in some cases, would speed up your browsing rather than slowing it down. It's slightly slower on the initial get, and then it's faster for every subsequent get because you're not leaving your network to look up where is ESPN or where is Google or where is YouTube.
Right.
It just knows and will forward you there. So, but yeah, I think it's time for another PiHole video.
PiHole Visitation 2.0.
Yep.
Yeah, because that was one of your early ones and pretty popular too.
Yeah,
if I remember right.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I've had people come to my house and like, oh, what's your Wi-Fi?
It was 3 years ago. It wasn't that long ago.
Okay, still. Yeah. But yeah, they come to my house and they like log into my Wi-Fi and they're like, oh, how come I'm getting less ads? I don't get as many pop-ups. This is because I got PiHole.
Yep.
They're like, well, how can I set that up in my house? And I just point them to your videos. Like, here you go. Watch Jeff's video.
Well, thank you. Yeah. So I wasn't thrilled. And I'm not going to teach you how to not watch ads on YouTube. I will recommend you to buy YouTube Premium. Like, I'm not going to bite the hand that feeds me too hard, a la LTT. There's some things that I can do on YouTube as a platform, and there's other things I can't. Yeah. And it's because there's still a hand that feeds me, regardless of how independent I try to be. And so there's some things I can't tell you. But what I will say is if you watch a lot of YouTube, YouTube Premium is a fantastic way to go. Definitely hashtag not sponsored. But I get more money per click if you buy YouTube Premium. That's how it works. And I also have more thoughts on YouTube and some of the things around there later in today's show.
Later.
Yeah.
I mean, even with PiHole, it's very, very tricky to block YouTube's ad, and even then, it's not 100%. So, and they change it all the time, so it's extremely hard.
Yep.
So I don't even bother.
Novell Hub saying, I do like the Elcars theme on PiHole. Yeah, that was reason enough for me to look at updating the video.
Oh, yeah.
It's just doing the Elcars theme for it.
That's exactly what mine is Elcars as well.
Yeah, mine's set up on Elcars. I just pulled up my stats. This is just from 4 hours ago.
Yeah.
Like, I published my video, and then while I'm publishing the video, I'm browsing for articles for tonight's stream.
Right.
And really, it's only a couple of machines that have picked up the new DNS unless they've done a DHCP renew.
Right.
22% block.
That's pretty good.
22% of all requests have been blocked.
That's good.
Yep.
Oh, actually, I have an update. I should update my PiHole. It's been a while.
I just wanted to see the LCARS display.
Yeah, because their other interfaces aren't as fun. No, the LCARS is the way to go.
Yeah, it's not nearly as good.
They should come up with it. Yep, there you go.
There you go. I figured this was safe to show. It doesn't show my IP address, so. Yeah, 22% blocked.
That's good.
Tells you how important it is for the modern web.
Oh yeah, no, I mean, I when I go outside of my network and I have to use cell, and I'm on my phone and I'm browsing, I notice a huge difference.
Yeah,
I mean, seriously.
Yeah. Well, you know what you should do is you should cloud host your own DNS server, because Android has the ability to set a static DNS.
Oh, does it really?
Yes, it does.
So I can just have it.
So when you're on 4G, you can just go, I want to use this IP address for my DNS server. Yeah,
I could. That's true. Yep. That's right. I could.
Yep. You can point it back to your house if you want to open up that port, although that is not necessarily the safest thing to do.
No, but
you could also rent a service or cloud host a service.
That's true.
And speaking of cloud hosting services, and Yakto's in the chat now, we may have a fun announcement about an upcoming project in which I might end up crowdsourcing some benchmarking. And what I mean by that is I have a box that just arrived in my garage out by my server rack. It's awaiting install in my server rack. That I don't know if I could saturate that with real world use case scenarios because I'm a home labber. Right. Like I don't have enough services that I could possibly throw at this to give you any kind of relevant data. I wouldn't even be scratching the surface of it. So we're looking at opening up that particular box to OpenStack.
Oh yeah.
And allowing anyone with a Discord membership to host a service on there.
Oh, that'd be interesting.
And so we could load it up with 1,000 services, and then I could run some benchmarks on it.
Yeah, there you go.
And we could say, real world, this is now in a hosting environment.
Right.
There you go. Here's your numbers.
Oh.
And hey, Gearling's in chat. We got Gearling. We got Cheese.
I saw him. Yeah.
Sorry, I said Pi. So if you say Raspberry Pi 3 times, Gearling will appear. That's how that works. You don't even say Raspberry Pi. You just say Pi.
That's one of the things. Yeah, Pi. That's right. Just Pi in general. He was a little disappointed that it wasn't like, Pi.
Mm-hmm. Beetlejuice. People said Beetlejuice 3 times in a row in chat. That's amazing.
Oh, no.
We do have some Intel news.
Yeah.
Intel has, in a roundabout way, confirmed that Arrow Lake is coming and has confirmed the launch dates for it. There will be... So Arrow Lake, for those who don't know, is the upcoming desktop platform. Consumer desktop. This is their all-new architecture. They are moving on from Raptor Lake onto... really one of the largest architectural changes Intel has done since Nehalem was introduced. I mean, this
is a big move.
This is kind of the end of core architecture. This is something new. With it, they are doing away with the old LGA 1700 sockets. They are introducing an all-new LGA 1851, and this time for pretty good reason. It is a different architecture. It does have a different layout. It's not just changing the socket for changing the socket's sake, although I'm sure that in 2 generations they'll be changing the socket again. We'll get an 1849, and then an 1850, and then... Oh, wait, we've done that before. What's amazing is that consumer sockets are almost as large as high-end desktop and server sockets were.
Yeah, I noticed
just like 6 years ago.
Yeah, it's a pretty big socket.
8 years ago, but 1851. You realize the Xeons that we all know and love are 2011 LGAs, right? And that's the number of pins in the socket.
They're pretty big.
1851. That's a big boy chip.
Yeah.
So some relevant dates. October 7th will be a pre-launch briefing with Intel. October 10th is the public announcement, and then October 24th is review embargo lift and retail sales begin. So given that you've just been to Intel recently, you probably have a bit of an inside scoop and probably have review chips already. Or can you not say that? If I did, I couldn't tell you.
All right. I know they're pretty secretive about their stuff, so I'm not going to press anything too greatly. But
here's the odd thing about NDAs is you often can't even acknowledge that you've signed an NDA. That's part of the NDA, and so you can't even say, "Are you under NDA?" I would simply have to say no. Yeah. So.
Okay. That's how it is.
Yeah.
But I mean, it is because Intel has been taking quite a bit of hits lately. I mean, like punches, I should say.
Yep. BC says, is that why you're heading to San Francisco next week? No. San Francisco is for Team Red, believe it or not. So, yeah. Yeah, can neither confirm nor deny. Basically, yes. Yeah, Cheese, we could share all of our worries in the after party. I have some thoughts. I don't know if I can disclose any of those thoughts, but I have some thoughts.
Probably can't.
Yeah, probably can't.
But come the 24th, we will.
Here's what I can tell you is I don't have an NDA. I've not been read in, and I do not have chips yet. So.
Oh, okay. All right.
I did get asked by someone if I had received communication from the consumer division because I've been working really closely with the enterprise division lately. And I said, no. The last time someone from the consumer division reached out was when you were in charge of that. So if they're watching, hello. Yeah. But basically my goal for tomorrow was to call and go, hey, so I do both, right? And get on the list. I'm not on the list yet. So
funny enough though that October 24th when review and sales come out, that's after that that's the next time I host.
Yeah.
Co-host with you.
Nice.
So I'm gonna come right back to this again. We're talking about it now, we'll be talking about it then.
Mm-hmm.
And by then, there should be tons and tons of reviews out to talk about.
Yeah. So I don't know how much has been disclosed versus not. There is one thing that's interesting in the picture that's provided here, which is the Arrow Lake review board, I guess, that's been going out, or the first picture of Asus's Z890. It has 2 X16 slots, and I'd really like to know if those are fully populated. Or if it's 16 and 8, or if it's 16 and 4. They wouldn't put a full X16 on the bottom, because you can't put another graphics card in there. It's not like you can put a double slot card in an ATX case. Like that's slot 6. You can't do much there. It does look like... Yeah, there's an X4 and an X4.
Yeah.
Which is nice to see. And in fact, this one's open-ended, which is really stupid because it's open-ended into the heatsink for the M.2s.
Right.
Like, so you can't even put an X16 in that if you wanted to. But I haven't seen PCIe counts for Arrow Lake yet.
Yeah, I don't know if they. I haven't seen that either. I like the specs that they have that they do know of are kind of minimal.
Yeah.
They have like cores and stuff like that, threads. But I don't think they have too much else. Oh, there's a PCIe 4.0, but it doesn't see how many lanes.
So there's an X16, an X4, and an
X4,
X4.
X4.
And
yep.
so that's going to be for your two M.2s and then your graphics. And then all I see beyond that is the 8X DMI, which lines up with 24 PCI Express slots or lanes, which is exactly what we have now. So no, I don't know how they're doing that because even the chipset doesn't have much else hanging off of it.
Now that picture of the motherboard that they have there, is that just a placeholder or is that supposed to be real?
No, that's
there's two X16s.
That is a real board. Okay. The interesting thing is the 800 series chipset for the Z890 is, what is this? The PCIe 4.0. Is this a usable number of lanes?
Mm-hmm.
You know, I've said for a while, look, I don't care if they're directly hanging off the CPU or not. I just need to hang a 40 gig network card off of my workstation that also has a nice graphics card.
Yeah.
I also need an X8 capture card. Like, I'm not asking for the world. I'm not asking for 7 PCI Express X16 lanes. We have platforms for that. But something more than one slot would be really nice.
I know.
Yeah. So, if I had to fathom a guess, I would guess we're not going to get a whole lot.
So you think of this motherboard, and they're sharing that one lane that they have, the 2 slots, but they're sharing the lane.
I don't know what they're doing here, because if we look at this board a little closer, there's an M.2 there, there's an M.2 there, there's an M.2 possibly there, although that's a shorter. Maybe that's a 2280 and then a 110 and then a 110. I think that's might be what that is. But then what's under here? Are there more slots under here? Why would you be cooling this area? That's just weird. Yeah. 3 memory slots. Actually, you are wrong. This is a dual channel board, and then this is the DIMM.2. This is Asus's hang an M.2 drive off of a DIMM slot solution.
Oh, wow.
You can see the tag for it right up here, DIMM.2. Looks like an X1 in the middle area with a black connector. Yeah.
Yeah, I see that right there, yeah.
So, we'll see.
It's less than a month away.
Yep.
So, the news will come fast and furious, I'm sure.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
SUV. Yeah.
In some dystopian news, this one was probably only a matter of time.
Yeah, this is some sci-fi stuff right here.
For those who are fans of OSINT, open source intelligence gathering, this one should probably have your attention. And it's actually a big reason why a lot of like nightclubs and things like that started outlawing like the Instagram glasses cameras years ago because they were worried about privacy concerns. Those nightclubs turned out to be a little bit ahead of the times, as some college students have taken Meta's new AR glasses and have already developed an OSINT application for doxing people in real time and then overlaying their stats on the glasses as you're speaking to them.
Oh God. This is like yeah. Oh, this is like oh what was that? What was the game that came out? Ubisoft. What they had the
Oh,
real time
Watchdog.
Watchdogs. Yeah, this is like
Yeah.
some Watchdog stuff right here.
You're really not wrong.
Yeah. I mean Watchdogs was he had to still use his phone. This is like glasses.
Right. Right now, they do have it piping to the phone, but there's no reason it couldn't display over the glasses.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think that's just a, rough and dirty development thing. But they're using the glasses camera to use the AI built into the glasses to identify a face and then plug it in to like Google image, reverse image, find that person, and then also use reverse search to figure out what their name is, what their address is, what their phone number is, where they went to school, what car they drive, who their spouse is, who their friends are.
Wow.
All like, yeah.
I can see. I think there probably already are services out there that help you wipe your identification from the internet if you don't want it to be on there anymore.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, TinEye. I don't know. Is TinEye much better than Google image search? I don't know if it's better or not. I used to use it long time ago.
Yeah. Google image search is pretty good for finding original images, but not necessarily finding a single person from a new image. But trying it on a real person in the subway, her results streamed to his phone.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So,
I mean, a nerd would say that, hey, this is a great way to pick up on chicks, but in reality, that's just creepy.
It's just really creepy.
That's just really creepy. You walk up to a girl and start telling her everything about her before she even knows who you are is pretty creepy.
Yeah. Yeah. So these were a pair of students from Harvard, and it is exactly what it says. Let me just read directly from the article here. Smart glasses with facial recognition technology that automatically looks up someone's face and identifies them. The students have gone a step further too. Their customized glasses also pull other information about the subject from around the web, including their home address, phone number, and their family members. And you might think that this information is really difficult to find. It's not, because Facebook exists.
No. Yes, exactly.
Because databases with all of this cataloged information already exist. Ad profiles that are publicly searchable exist.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So,
well, what would be a practical use case for this? What would you think?
Practical use cases, I guarantee police are already beating down the door to get this.
Maybe if they can hook it up to crime stats databases with image search on that or facial recognition on that. Yeah. I bet yes, probably.
The thing is, there's privacy and concerns around police utilizing technology like that. In a lot of states, plate scanners are outlawed. The police cannot use plate scanners. They have to have a reason to pull you over in order to determine who is driving a vehicle.
Yeah, probable cause or not. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Seeing a vehicle with a plate where the owner has a warrant is in and of itself not enough probable cause to pull that car over. And I actually agree with this, because who says the owner is driving?
Sure. Obviously. But I'm talking when you do pull somebody over and you get a look at their face.
Right.
That's, presumably you pulled them over with probable cause already.
Yeah.
So at that point, there's some big ethical things going on with that too. I could also see, like, maybe if you're going in for a job interview, to be able to look at that person and just pull stuff up that might not be on the resume or that might be hiding on the resume type of thing. But then I don't know. There's a lot there's a lot of ethical stuff going along with that too.
Yeah. Well, at that point, if someone submitted a resume, you already have their full legal name.
That's true. So,
So
you can do your due diligence and look them up wherever.
look them up on
anyway.
Facebook, LinkedIn, whatever.
Yeah.
That is nothing new.
No, that is nothing new. This is just an extra layer to that, probably.
Right? But doing it in real time, automatically, that's. Look, I'm kind of surprised we haven't had this already.
I think there was a hint of that. Like, people were concerned about that when Google Glass came out.
Right.
Google Glass was like, "Get that out of my face! I don't want you to." Because, like, I mean, that feature wasn't there, but the idea that it could do that.
Well, there was the worry that, are you recording right now?
Yes.
That was like an ever-present thing of, a guy walking into a gentleman's club and wearing Google Glass. You can't record in there. Hey, walking into a secure area, walking into a nuclear facility or a company press event that isn't public yet. Are you recording in here? That's not allowed. There's all kinds of potential for wearable technology to skirt regulations and laws and privacy and things like that. And this is taking it a step further and actually kind of realizing some of those fears of someone in real time. And because this exists now, it doesn't even have to be, with the smart glasses. It could literally be with the face detection on your phone, or I take a picture of you from across the room. Yeah. And now I have all of your information.
Well, I was thinking, I don't know if this is a safety thing or maybe like integrating it into some ring cams and stuff like that with your door to be knowing exactly who it is that's ringing your doorbell. Oh, come, please help me. My car just crashed. And like, oh, this guy's got like 5 felonies. Open this door. Yeah. Right. That could be a practical use for it. That I mean, it's not going directly to glasses, but something very similar could be used in like ring doorbells and stuff like that.
Yeah. Yep. No, and I mean, speaking of, people walking up to your door and beating on the door and, oh, my car just crashed. Can I come in? And there's actually a little bit more training to do with my family there. Like, don't open the door. I'll call 911 for you. Where's your car at? I'll direct, fire, police to wherever they need to go.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. Thankfully, I have a pretty decent sized window in my front door that I can.
Yeah, so do we. We have a second story, 20-foot window that overlooks the neighborhood. So
yeah.
Where did you say your car crashed at?
Yeah, where was it again?
See it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Your own private home security is not the same if it's not cloud enabled.
Well, I mean, it wouldn't be.
They're good.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's you don't have to make it private. You just, because I think Ring even has its own service. You can sign up for a service that gives you a bunch of different benefits.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we have security cameras around our house. And while they offer a cloud service, I don't utilize that cloud service.
Yeah, I don't utilize mine either.
I have it for viewing, but I don't use that for recording. They record locally on my home server.
Yeah.
So. Yeah. Kind of scary stuff.
Yeah, it's a little creepy, I have to say. Like I said, I can think of some practical uses for it, but for the most part, I think these guys just did it because they wanted to. Like you said, where are they from? They're like MIT or something.
Harvard.
I don't know where Harvard. Okay.
Yeah. And they totally did it because they wanted to.
Just because they wanted to. They just wanted to see if they could.
But like I said, this is a 101 school in open source information gathering, OSINT, which is, I love OSINT as a subject. What information can you ascertain from simply observing and having no insight into specificities whatsoever?
Oh yeah,
simply using the web as a search tool. It's a really interesting field. But yeah, the fact that these couple of college kids put together enough databases to basically do a real-time reverse image search and personal identifier.
Oh, I know. A medium. They could just be like, I see somebody. Oh,
your father passed away recently, wasn't it?
Didn't he?
Oh my god.
Oh gosh. Getting somebody with the name S. S starts with an S. I feel the spirit.
Samuel. People called him Smithy though, because he walked with a limp.
Yeah, is that right?
Oh my god, Steve, you just stumbled onto 21st century grift.
Yeah, it's exactly.
Wow.
Well, I mean, the whole thing is the medium stuff is a grift anyway.
It's already a grift, but
this I know it's already a grift, but this just
you just cyberpunked it. That's amazing.
I know. You just went it way up there.
Do you want to start a new business?
There we go. We can do it. No one else knows about this, right?
Austin says, "Why must you give them ideas?" That's a horrible, horrible idea. No one should ever do that. New attraction at the haunted house. We had a medium last year. They didn't work out very well. Yeah, it was weird.
Would you say they were a little mid?
Yeah,
a little medium, a little between.
We got a good laugh because they were predicting people's futures, yet couldn't see the weather in 3 hours.
Yeah.
That predicted a like. Remember that windstorm we got last year?
Oh yeah, I do.
That flipped their tent upside down.
Okay, they couldn't predict that, huh?
They didn't think it would be they didn't foresee it'd be a good idea to tie it down that night.
Yeah, nail it down or whatever. Yeah. Nah, the only medium I like is medium rare. So, anything else than that?
Yep. Good times. Good times. That's a perfect segue.
Mm-hmm.
How's your first beer doing?
I'm almost at the bottom.
Okay.
I'm doing pretty good.
Well, I reached the bottom. So
okay. Are you gonna do the Yahoo beer? Oh, there we go. Goose Island. Goose Island, baby.
So we are breaking out a Bourbon County Stout. This is a 2022. It is the brand special number 4. This is the collaboration with friends, is what it says.
Collaboration with friends, perfect. And you got it sent by Yahoo.
Yeah. Made with bourbon barrel aged maple syrup from Bissell Maple Farm and coffee from Intelligentista. Yeah, Intelligentista. 13.3%.
What?
Notes of mocha, roasted nuts, sweet maple, and a touch of blueberry.
I hope you had something to eat before you came on the show.
I did indeed.
Okay, good, because if you didn't, that 13% is going to go right to your head.
Yeah.
That's drinking a schnapps.
It's going to go to my head anyway.
Yeah, well, no, I know, but at least it'll go to your head slower if you had something to eat beforehand.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, there's no way it would be a pickle beer. We can't even get Jeff to come to John's to even just slightly taste a pickle beer.
Nope.
As much as we tried.
I can smell the maple.
Yeah, I have not had a pastry stout in a while, and I'm kind of craving one because it is getting cooler, right? It's starting to get into the fall. The summertime, I wasn't really craving a pastry stout. It just didn't feel right. Now it's starting to feel right.
This reminds me of Great Notion blueberry pancakes.
Oh, yeah. Dude, Great Notion blueberry pancakes is excellent. Although they're not 13%.
No, they're like 9.
Yeah. I mean, they're up there, but they ain't no 13%. Yeah.
Oh. Skull says he's going to have to go find his box of 22s. Yes. Zach says that looks like motor oil.
Oh yeah, most
Also,
pastry
yes.
stouts do. Most
Yep.
pastry stouts do.
Really good flavor.
Yeah.
Ooh, that coffee at the back. Oh.
How is it a little on the sweeter side, a little more on the dry side?
It's very dry. It's
okay. Oh, that's not
very
bad.
dry.
Because something that I kind of take with,
unexpectedly dry.
yeah, with pastry stouts, if they're too sweet, I only want like a little snifter of it because it's too much. But if it's a little more on the dry side, I can drink it a little bit more.
Wow, is that dry? Oh. Oh. That is warm and fuzzy inside.
Not too sweet then, huh?
Not too sweet. Definitely not too sweet.
Okay.
If anything, it's leaning towards bitter more than sweet.
I was gonna say maybe the coffee they put in there makes it a little more bitter, more astringent.
Oh, that coffee. I'll get to the coffee. Because the coffee's the best friggin' part of this beer. The maple and the blueberry are mostly right here.
Right.
That's the maple especially. In the flavor itself, you get a little touch of blueberry, and I mean just a smidge, and it might just be what's left in my nose. It's that little. You get this warm oaky bourbon. And I don't want to say dark fruit. It's not fig. It's not in it, but this deep dark malty flavor.
Right.
And then that's immediately wiped away with like the darkest espresso you've ever had.
Okay. What was the name of the coffee company? Intrepid? Or was it
no
Insipid?
Intelligenista. Intelligent, but don't go
ISTA Intelligenista coffee. Oh, there it is. I found it.
Yeah.
Intelligenista coffee roasters.
That is
Chicago, Los Angeles, New York, Boston, Austin, Korea. Oh, okay.
Michael says blueberry dessert with coffee. Yeah,
that sounds like perfect. That sounds great.
This is a super. Hold on.
You gotta try it one more time.
Yeah, maple.
Right, while you're at it,
blueberry.
I got my pumpkin beer. I'm ready
Nice.
to go with it.
Yeah.
Not that it's going to be anywhere near as good as yours. I'm sure of it. There we go.
Blueberry cobbler and coffee.
Yeah, that sounds amazing. That's like a dessert and coffee and a drink.
And the coffee is super dark.
So it's like a French roast almost.
Think of like the little espresso glass that you get after a good like Italian meal, like
an illy, like an illy.
Yeah,
coffee.
Yeah. Think of like just a straight glass, a straight shot of espresso. It is that deep and that rich. Blueberry coffee cake. I'd stop at coffee cake because coffee cake I feel is sweet. Still a little sweeter. Yeah.
So this is dark and roasty.
Yeah.
This is more like a black, dark French roast coffee with the blueberry pie. You're contrasting the sweet with the bitter.
Right.
Which is, I mean, honestly, I like a good donut and coffee in the morning. Just the contrast of the sweet and bitter.
Yeah.
Delicious. In a drink?
Yeah.
All in one?
Yeah.
Come on.
And leaning more bitter than sweet so you can keep drinking it? Like,
yeah.
This is dangerous. If you like coffee, 13%. This is a dangerous drink.
Yeah. My pumpkin beer, actually, surprisingly, I wasn't expecting much. Uh, but I have to say this is probably kind of up there with like Night Owl.
Hmm.
So there is some really dominant spice flavors to this. Like there's some pumpkin spice flavors to it.
Uh-huh.
Enough sweet malt to kind of get you to think of pumpkin pie, but not overly sweet to make you think this is like a dessert. But it still has that kind of like, I guess, standard ale beer flavor. But no, it's not bad. I have to say it's pretty good. It's gonna up there with like Night Owl. I would equate it to Night Owl. If you've ever
Nice.
had Elysian's Night Owl, this is very
Uh-huh.
very similar to that.
Yeah, I've had that. I mean, I'm not as big on pumpkin beers as John is, but I've had Night Owl.
I just my wife loves pumpkin beers, so
Yeah.
it's like we usually get it every time. This year we go out and try to find all the pumpkin beers we can and stock up, and then from now until like springtime we drink them all.
Yep. Well, unfortunately, there is some somber news. So obviously, hurricane hit the East Coast this week, ravaged a whole lot of communities. Specifically, ravaged a lot of communities in Eastern Tennessee and Western Carolinas. And there's no good transition into this story. But I know a lot of my audience are also fans of retro tech. And one of the predominant YouTubers, Lazy Game Review, LGR, Clint.
LGR, love LGR.
Super cool dude. He posted earlier this week that unfortunately LGR will be postponed for a good while, he feels. Apparently the hurricane has done, quote, incredible damage to his house, and he won't be living there for a bit. And so he lives just outside of Asheville, and reiterated, I am safe. My family and friends are safe. But then posted these pictures. So these terrible. Are two giant trees that have absolutely decimated, I guess, what were his living room, dining room, kitchen area. And his studio, much like mine, is in a daylight basement. Yeah.
Right below it, yeah.
And so the wind came down and knocked down all of these trees on his property and through his house, and his basement flooded. And his basement is where his studio and his LGR storeroom. So all of his parts, his builds, his collection is at. And I believe he also has a storage unit, and depending on where that's at, I don't hold out a lot of hope for that either. Now, the important thing is to say, Clint is okay. Clint is safe. I'm thrilled Clint is okay. There were people who died because of this event. There were, tens of thousands who have been displaced. Talking about this from a tech standpoint feels a little weird, but man, there's so much irreplaceable stuff that we just lost as a tech community. Like, and like I said, I don't want to like transition into that and belittle the fact that, Clint lost his house and things like that. But I can only talk about the human side to, so much, or you get me.
Yeah.
But man, just the collection that Clint had, there's so many one of a kind items. There's so much history that he kept.
Well, there's some of the stuff when I watch a lot of his videos, there's some stuff he explicitly says, well, I have this on loan, I have to give it back.
Yeah.
So thankfully some of that stuff was not there. But yes, he had a ton of vintage stuff there.
Yeah. Also, Clint is kind of unique in the YouTuber space in that he doesn't do any sponsorships.
No, he doesn't.
He does entirely basically ad revenue and Patreon. So if he's not producing videos, and the YouTube algorithm is not a friendly...
Yeah, he's losing money.
Yeah. As far as revenue goes. Obviously what you should do is donate to the Red Cross, donate to relief efforts through known charities. Don't do any of the fly-by-night charities. But donate to the Red Cross. Go donate to reach out to and help though. Clint or some of the greater community of other makers. Find a maker, find a creator that has been displaced by this, and reach out and see if you can help on Patreon. I haven't been all that upfront about it, but I've been considering making a video that Patreon is what allows me to be at home and be a dad to my kids, and there's a story there, let me tell you, especially with kid number 3 that came into existence about 3 years ago. So we as creators, when we decide to make this our livelihood, we live and die by the support of everyone around us. It's not like I have a job or insurance or anything like that to keep me afloat for literal rainy days. So if you're willing, if you're able, I'm sure Clint could use a little pick-me-up, and I'm sure there's other makers that I'm missing in the area that could use some support as well. So
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I just went and looked. LGR been on YouTube for 17 years. 17 years ago was his very, very first.
The dude
YouTube
is an
post.
OG tech tuber.
No, he's been I think probably one of my longest followers, actually.
Oh, absolutely one of mine.
Yeah. So yeah, he's like, when I heard the news too, I was just like,
yeah,
I said the same thing. It's like, oh, I hope he has a storage unit, and I hope that storage unit's okay, because like a lot of that stuff, because he gets tons of stuff. It's just people send him stuff. It's like, oh, look at this old thing I had.
Well, people send him stuff. He solicits things, looking for unique pieces of history to go review. I'm a huge fan of retro tech as well. You and I, we both cut our teeth, kind of on the cutting edge of the consumer PC revolution. My first PC build was a 486. I've got
mine too. Yeah,
such fond memeries of
46DX.
Like that. Yeah.
No, it was funny because like one of his more recent videos, he a long time ago, like one of the first times I ever got to go to E3, I remember looking at all the tech, because I was blown away, because I'd never been to anything like that. This is the first time going, and all the just massive stuff. Not only the big players there, but the little players that were there too. Yeah. And I remember seeing this really odd haptic feedback controller. Back then, haptic feedback was kind of at its infancy. And
we have two vibration motors.
No, it had 3. It had a 3, kind of like a tri thing where you would. It was really. I remember seeing this thing. I was just like just blown away. I was like, oh, this is super weird. But there was a long line of people trying to use it. Yeah, I wanted to try it just so I can feel it and see how it worked. And then after that, never heard a thing of it. I'm like, well, it must have failed. Yeah. So I often wondered what happened to that thing. Sure enough, about 2 months ago, LGR puts a video on that exact haptic feedback controller, and I'm like, nice. Oh, I gotta watch this. I wanted to know how this thing worked.
Nice.
And he said it was kind of neat in some applications, and the software that they delivered with it was absolute garbage. But like in some games, it was actually kind of cool because it felt like an actual gun firing when you fired a gun. Yep. So yeah, his videos are great. He goes back and just finds just the weirdest stuff.
Whenever he's gone and looked at things that like exactly what you said, like I knew that existed, but I thought they had faded into obscurity, or I thought no one knew about them, and then he digs them up and does an expose on them. That's always so much fun. Also, what's so much fun is when you owned that device. I've had a number of those. The Star Trek phaser mouse. I don't know.
Oh, yes.
I still have a Star Trek phaser mouse. It's a serial port mouse. And he did a review on one maybe like a year ago. And he goes,
Uh,
the only way I know how to test this is some Elite Force. So he fired up Elite Force and he was playing
oh,
with the phaser
nice.
mouse. And like, yes! Greatest video ever. But yeah, no, just look, the amount of devastation that has happened over there is too much to express. It's too much for words. I can't explain.
Yeah.
But yeah, so at times like this, I do tend to focus on like what is a personal connection, what is a thing that I would care about that has been impacted. And Clint is one of those things, and not only Clint, but Clint's collection of oddities and oddware and obscure relics of technologies past. So if you're able, I'm sure he would appreciate some support on Patreon, as he's still trying to find arborists and cranes, but it's going to be weeks, if not months, before he's able to get the trees off of his house, and then
get the house rebuilt.
From the look of that, it's $100,000 worth of damage. Easily. Before we even get to the flood that happened.
I mean, it's literally
before we even get to mold
house.
mildew remediation. Before we even get to like we need to make sure the house is salvageable.
Yeah.
So,
well, it doesn't look like, and I don't know if there's any flood damage on the house. Can't tell.
He said
really.
The basement flooded.
Oh, the basement flooded. Yeah. Could because the rain came in through the roof and flooded the basement. Yeah.
Yeah, 2 trees destroyed my roof, living room, dining room, flooded my LGR collection in the rooms down below. And a dozen more trees down in the front yard. There's no way to get equipment in to remove trees. The roof hole is too big and unstable to put a tarp over it. So until he's able to get a crane and certified tree specialists out there, which they're going to be in high demand over the next couple of months, his house is just going to be open to the elements.
Yeah.
So
those damn trees did it again.
Yep. 17 says Cletus McFarland flew his new helicopter and did rescue missions. Went deep into the mountains that were inaccessible to emergency services. Rescued a mother and her 4-year-old baby girl. Yeah, I saw that.
Nice.
Cletus, like 3 months ago, completed his helicopter. And so he's just been like learning how to fly it and whatnot. And then all of a sudden this happens and he goes, screw it, let's go to Carolina and Tennessee. Let's fly the helicopter. Let's fly supplies into places they can't get. And there's dozens of helicopter owners that have done that same thing. And he said people were like clearing brush out and creating X's for the helicopters to land so they could deliver supplies.
That's good.
And one of the stories that came out was Cletus rescued a mother and her 4-month-old baby girl.
That's good.
So yeah. There is hope in the world, even if it's an ad-ridden blah, blah, blah. Yeah.
Well. I wonder if he can get like a temporary studio up and going. I'm sure people are willing to donate some stuff to him so he can get like a small studio thing going while his house gets. I mean, you stayed at a hotel. I mean, I don't know how insurance covers, places to stay while your house is being rebuilt, but if it's an old enough hotel, he can just review the tech that's in the hotel. It's like, look at this old phone.
LGR Motocross Madness video about 3 seconds in and does the out of bounds launch. He knows his audience.
Yes, oh, of course. Oh yeah, dude, that's the funniest thing to do in Motocross Madness.
Yep. I never had Motocross Madness when I was a kid, but I had the demo.
Oh yeah.
And so I had one track and two bikes.
Yeah.
And that's all I ever used to do. Was I would do the stunt race, and then I would do the free cross, where it's just like drops you in the land and go do whatever you want to do. And the goal was to get up on the wall and then catapult yourself back.
Oh yeah.
So it was the
we always
thing on
it. It was a pretty big popular LAN game that we used to play.
Yeah.
I kind of remember. I don't remember what I think you had I think it was kind of like Mario Kart, where you had like balloons and stuff you had to pop. I want to remember. God, it's been a long time since I played the multiplayer of Motocross Madness. But yeah, there was Motocross Madness, and there was Midtown Madness was the other one too. I think it was Midtown Madness.
Yeah, Midtown Madness. There was Monster Truck Madness.
And Monster Truck Madness. They had a few of them. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, Midtown Madness was pretty good too. I didn't hate that one because it was like San Francisco, and then they had like a Chicago one, and.
Oh yeah, no, yeah. Midtown Madness 2 was Chicago. Midtown Madness 1 was a make-believe city inspired by San Francisco. Midtown Madness 2 was Chicago.
Was Chicago, yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, people on Discord are now sharing their patronage durations. There's a couple on here. I guarantee you two are longer. I don't know if consecutive, but speaking of, we need more Lego builds. So yeah, one thing I promised to my patrons was I'd do some Lego builds occasionally, and I've posted one, and it was actually the Breaking Bad RV.
Oh, nice, dude.
I got a Lego mock for Christmas, and it was the Breaking Bad RV.
That's awesome.
I actually got minifigs of Walter and Jesse.
Yeah.
And it's Walter with his just in the underwear. So he's got the white shirt and then the underwear on. He's got a revolver and a cell phone.
Nice.
And then Jesse has the hoodie on, or the beanie and the hoodie. I built that for a special Patreon video. The RV, while pretty well equipped, it didn't have enough glassware for my liking, so I actually got onto AliExpress and I bought more Lego glassware so I could spread them all out. There's like different chemistry sets and things like that.
So put it there to make it look like,
and so I bought more Lego chemistry pieces.
Nice. You still have the build, or did you give it to somebody?
I still have it. It's right up here on my shelf. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
It sits right up next to my Millennium Falcon and my A-Wing.
There you go.
I actually do have a Lego build. I should probably do this. Maybe this weekend. I'll put it together for the Patreon. I will have to... I got the Mandalorian N1 fighter. The Naboo starfighter.
Oh, his new one, yeah.
But the Hot Rod starfighter.
Right.
I got that. I got the official Lego kit. I also have the mock Lego kit of that, which is the non-official, with all the pieces and full instructions. And so I'm actually and the mock kit actually came out before the official Lego kit, because what's happening is they have there are like Lego builders around the world who will see a cool new thing and go, Lego's definitely going to
let's do it that. Let's do it. Yeah.
I'm going to beat them to it. And so they will put their spin on it and then sell you the pieces and the instructions for it. And that's what I got. Is I got the mock build of the N1 Starfighter. Then I got the official set, and I still have them both brand new in box. Well, one's in the box and one's in a bag.
I see the official one. I don't see the mock-up one. I don't see what it looks like.
Um, yeah, the mock kit I think I bought on AliExpress.
Oh, okay.
You won't find it in official channels.
Okay. All right.
They're unofficial kits. You can get the unofficial kits with official Lego pieces, and so they will actually source the Lego pieces and colors and things like that, or you can buy it with third-party bricks.
Gotcha. Unofficial N1. No, every time I look for it, I just get the official one. I mean, it still looks good.
Yeah. So I'm curious, and I have both, and I went, I wonder what the difference is between them. I wonder what the differences in approaches are for putting this together, because they both look like amazing kits. But I've wanted to put them together, and so maybe this weekend, if I've got like a Sunday afternoon free, maybe I'll start putting them together, and maybe that'll be a Patreon video.
Oh, I found a Reddit post with the unofficial one, and they look very similar.
They're very similar. Yeah.
Very similar, yeah.
I know just glancing at them, because I've built enough Lego.
Right.
The engines are completely different in design, like how they're assembled and put together and what pieces are used.
Yeah, that's what I'm seeing too.
Yeah. That was one of my first tells. Like, okay, they went two completely different but equally respectable ways.
Yeah, they both look good, but they're definitely not the same.
Yeah.
I kind of like the mock one a little bit better, but it doesn't look like it doesn't look quite as accurate to the show.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a little inspiration.
It's more inspiration than but I think it kind of looks neat, but it's fine.
Little artistic license in the mock one, but I think that's to be expected.
Yeah.
So yeah, maybe I'll have to get a Lego mock video up this month for the Patreon backers.
There you
go. Excuse me. We talked a little bit about YouTube and how biting the hand that feeds you. There's another creator in the YouTube sphere, Russ from Retro Game Core. Retro Game Core is a review channel for it does a lot of gaming handhelds.
Okay.
But also does like retro gaming. And so specifically does a lot of emulation, but also covers some retro gaming topics. But a lot of his videos are specifically around retro gaming handhelds. One of the draws of retro gaming handhelds is emulation.
Absolutely, yeah.
And sorry, we do have a couple super chats. Green for $5. Russ of Retro Game Core has been all over the news. I think he got hit by Nintendo twice last week. Yep. Yeah, we're literally talking about that now. And then Green also $2. Also, Pal World Mobile. I hope they beat Nintendo. Yes, I had seen that, and I think we will finish with that news.
Oh yes, and I have some thoughts on that too. But
you have some Pal World thoughts? Okay, cool.
Well, yeah,
we'll circle back to that.
Okay.
So one of the main selling points of gaming handhelds, especially the Android/Linux-based variety, is retro gaming. It's retro emulation. It's Super Nintendo, it's Sega Genesis, it's things like that. No one's buying them to play Cyber Dogs and Descent 1 and Tomb Raider and open source, open engine games.
Yeah.
No one's doing that.
Not that you couldn't, you could, but
you totally can. I have Descent 1 on my RG350M.
Yeah.
I also have a decompilation of Diablo, Devolution X. That I can play on my freaking Nintendo 3DS. And I do play Descent 1 or Diablo 1 on my 3DS. But regardless of where you stand on emulation,
Mhm.
Um, emulation is legal.
Yep.
Kinda.
Well, I mean, it's legal to emulate a system, but it's not legal to redistribute the ripped out ROMs.
Correct.
You can home lab something, and the home lab people who program those, they can say, hey, you can use this freely. That's fine. But to sit there and champion an emulator and be like, oh, you can play all the Nintendo ROMs. I guess there's a gray area to say if I own the original cartridge or own the original thing, um, whether I am able to download the ROM even though I own the original one. Is that legal? Is that not? That's kind of gray. The same thing like saying, well, I own the original DVD to Pulp Fiction, therefore I could download a rip as opposed to just ripping it myself.
Technically not legal.
Technically not legal, but it's also great because if someone comes after you, say, well, look, I own it. Prove that I didn't rip it myself.
Right.
So,
and in instances like that, the onus should be on the copyright holder.
exactly.
To prove, without a shadow of a doubt, that you violated your license agreement.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, a license agreement is simply just a license agreement. It's a license on how I will use things and how I will not use things. Unfortunately, it's also been subject to criminal prosecution, which seems a little extreme.
I haven't heard much of that of late, but it has happened in the past.
It has happened in the past.
Yes.
But gosh, where are we going with this? Emulation legal.
Yes.
As long as you do not use proprietary code or intellectual property of the console owner. So let's say we wanted to emulate the Nintendo Switch. If we ascertain source code for the firmware for the Nintendo Switch, we cannot use proprietary code. What we can do is reverse engineer it, which is what's called a clean room approach.
Correct.
We can reverse engineer, decompile, reconstruct for the purposes of executing Nintendo Switch code. That is 100% legal per the DMCA, per the very thing that Nintendo is using to fight a lot of this. Backing up your own media is 100% legal.
Absolutely, you own it.
There's a gray area on whether or not you can bypass copy protection algorithms and methods. So if a disk is encrypted, can you break decryption? Can you decrypt it in order to back it up? That's a question. That's why every HDMI splitter that you receive says this device is not to be used to bypass high definition content protection. Do not use this to plug into an HDMI recording device and copy the media that you are totally not viewing on it.
But you can also do a bit for bit screen capture with audio and everything and back it up that way. You don't even need that.
Right. So yeah, but you are entitled to legal backups of your own software, hardware, and media. However, because people think that they're entitled to a backup, that also to them implies that you're able to use that backup in sake of the original copy. And that is actually not true. You can take a backup. You can't legally use that backup. However, there are stipulations for media transfer, not in the DMCA, but in the VHS Act of like 1982 or something, where you could transfer media from one format to another and play it on another device. And so it doesn't exist in the DMCA, but it does exist in other forms of media protection. So that could be argued. I am not a lawyer.
Yeah, I'm not either. And I don't think a lot of these cases are going to be prosecuted by anybody because they're so there's no money in it. There's absolutely no money in it.
Yeah. Now, how does this relate to Russ and Retro Game Core? Retro Game Core, in the past week, has had 2 of his videos with copyright strikes from Nintendo for showing emulated Wii U content.
Mm.
Now, Russ, as an above-board retro game enthusiast, owns the physical media to the games that he is showing. I do the same thing. If I've shown anything emulated on screen, I own that thing.
Yeah.
I even did that for my arcade machine when I built this guy behind me. I have a full video on building my arcade machine. At the end of the video, we were playing Metal Slug and Greatest of All Fighters, something like that. Yeah. Do you know where I got those games? It wasn't MAME. It was the GOG store, which had redistributable versions of it that you could purchase a license for and play.
Yeah.
It was a Windows executable.
Yeah.
Is this loaded with Windows executables? That's debatable. I will say I have a lot of games on there. But when I showed it on screen, every title that I showed on screen, and this has been for every emulated thing that I've ever shown,
was something that you owned.
Was something that I owned. I've shown Breath of the Wild footage before. I own a physical copy of Breath of the Wild. I've shown Tears of the Kingdom before. I own a physical copy of Tears of the Kingdom. I've shown Mario Odyssey. I own a physical copy of Mario Odyssey. I don't F around with this. I want to be above reproach if the question is ever asked. Because if I ever do get a day in court, which will never happen, they're just going to copyright strike my channel, and I'm going to back down because I don't have the
no
money
one's going to do
fight
that anymore.
Nintendo. But you want to be above reproach, and I can guarantee Russ from Retro Game Core above reproach. If he shows a game on screen, he owns that game.
Yeah.
But Nintendo has copyright struck using the DMCA his channel twice in the last week for showing Wii U emulated content.
It's because they don't like emulation.
They don't like emulation.
They don't like emulation.
They want to silence it.
They want people not to know that it exists is basically what they want to do.
And to further that point, Ryujinx, a Switch emulator that gained a lot of popularity after Yuzu was wiped off the face of the planet thanks to Nintendo litigation, now ceases to exist. The GitHub's been scrubbed. All previous versions have been scrubbed. There's no source code available online anymore. So I hope you backed it up if you like things like this.
There's got to be plenty of people out there that just have it, and you know that they're just gonna they're gonna strike up another GitHub or either that or find some kind of like third-party library to distribute it from, so it's not as public as GitHub.
Right. But they didn't have necessarily legal grounds to reach out to Ryujinx and take them down, and so they simply made an offer to the owner of Ryujinx, and he accepted and took it down. Yeah. Whether that offer was, we won't sue you, we don't know. There's probably an NDA involved.
Right. Which, yeah.
Yep.
Oh man. I was like, I'm looking at GitHub alternatives, because you don't have to publish everything on GitHub if you don't want to.
Right.
There's tons of GitHub alternatives. You can just host your code on there.
You could self-host a GitLab. That's actually where the code for Max Effect
GitLab
is hosted. We host our own GitLab. And,
GitLab is actually #1 on this list.
Yep. Yeah, we don't use GitHub for the actual source code repository.
There's Bitbucket, GOGS, Codebird. It's a whole bunch of them.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's all just version control and
I mean that's all it is. Yeah. I mean, but it's already out there. They're playing whack-a-mole.
Yeah.
Is what they're doing right now. So another one's gonna prop up, same version as that. I I have no idea if Ryujinx is an offshoot. I don't think Yuzu was ever on GitHub. I don't think it was. But I mean, maybe someone leaked it, but I have no idea. But it's not going away. They're literally playing whack-a-mole with it.
Yep. Patrick says Road Rash was my jam on Sega. Yes, Road Rash.
Road Rash.
You ever play Road Rash?
I did, and I played. I was so disappointed in it. I played a kind of a reboot, not a reboot, but like a reimagining of it called Road Redemption.
I played that.
Nowhere near as good. Nowhere near as good.
It's not.
It had better graphics. It looked great.
It's
but the
fun enough gameplay. Have you played it recently?
I have actually.
Okay.
It was extremely what I found grindy. Like you had to like.
It is very grindy and it's roguelike, and so you lose all progression.
Roguelike, yes.
Which it's not a lot of people's jam. I've been really digging on roguelikes for the last couple of years though. And so I kind of enjoy the grind to a certain extent. I am not like a Dark Souls or a Souls-like gamer. I hate grinding for this. I hate difficult games for the sake of being difficult.
Difficulty, yeah. I don't. I'm kind of mixed on that. I don't know if I find the gameplay fun yet difficult.
Right.
I might persevere, but if I find the controls frustrating,
what I found,
then I wouldn't.
Yeah, what I found with Dark Souls and Elden Ring in particular was the game trolling you to think that you had it figured out for the different combinations of moves, and then no F you was the feeling. And so pre-scripted animations are one thing that really frustrates me in a game anyway.
Oh, yeah.
If I press a button, I'm going to move 19 pixels forward and perform this action, and it's 100% scripted. I would prefer a more fluid gameplay where, play the animation, but base it off the momentum that I already have or the speed in which I was already moved. Like, I prefer much more fluid mechanics.
Fluidity, yeah.
Than none. And so with a first-person shooter, you're running at variable speeds, and if I pull the trigger, I'm going to shoot on that frame, but I'm aiming in the momentum that I'm aiming at with my mouse. I can control that.
And it's also fair for a first-person shooter to be like, okay, I'm running very fast, therefore my accuracy is going to be down. Slow down, your accuracy is going to be higher.
Right.
That's fine, but it feels more fluid that way. Yeah.
But in like third-person games, especially, and like Elden Ring, you press roll and he rolls, and it's the exact same motion every single time. It's the exact same momentum, exact same speed. And some people like those kinds of games, and I can't stand those kinds of games.
Yeah.
But then you're fighting a boss, and you're like, oh, I've seen this move before. The boss is going to flail around, but then he half pauses up here, and then it said, like, bops you in the neck. And it's like, motherfucker. Like, it's not even fair. And it's like, I don't like games that troll you like that. That's
like Mike Tyson's Punch-Out. Once you figured it out, Mike Tyson's Punch-Out, but then all of a sudden when he winks, he doesn't do his big punch anymore. He gives you a couple jabs.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
That's like,
but there's a tell.
You for a, Right.
It
has to be the tells.
Yeah. I enjoy figuring out games to the nth degree and not being able to exploit them, but being able to get through them more quickly or building up that skill floor.
Oh, yeah.
For me, in the Dark Souls regions of games, I don't feel I have the skill floor to begin with, and those games just piss me off.
Yeah, I mean, the very first one, because everyone kept telling me the very first Dark Souls. They're like, oh, you got to play this. This is great. This is the greatest thing. I was like, okay. So I finally got it, started playing it. And in the very first room, you have this broken sword. You get it with this broken sword. And then the first room you get to, there's a giant boss battle. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, I heard this game's difficult. I guess I'm supposed to figure out how to beat this boss with this broken sword.
Right.
I guess there's probably a way of doing it, but the real solution is to run away. But I sat there and sat for an hour trying to figure out how to beat this boss with a broken sword, and I couldn't do it. Just getting pissed off and
because
pissed
I
off
play
and
Zelda
pissed off.
games and they drop you into a room with a certain set of tools, and you go, with the certain set of tools,
I'm supposed
I
to
should be able to kill them.
Yeah. But this was, they're like, no, you're not supposed to kill it. You're supposed to run away.
Yeah.
And I also get some of the games where it's like, oh, you're supposed to beat a boss at the beginning, but he beats you no matter what, and then the story continues on because, oh, you were downtrodden, you got defeated.
Totally. But instead it game's over and puts you at the start of the boss fight again, you're like,
this is game over. It's like, no, you're supposed to run away.
Right.
Like, how am I supposed to run away?
Right.
And it took me an hour to finally like look it up, and was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
But now I'm too pissed off. I don't want to play.
Yeah, now I'm too pissed. Like, I'm done.
Yeah.
I don't want to deal with it.
Yeah.
I might go back and revisit it because, I mean, yes, everybody says it's great. When I have time, maybe I'll do it. Because I think I have like all three Dark Souls. I've only played one.
Yeah. I played like halfway through the first one and I went, this isn't for me. And then the next two came out and I'm like, it's a lot of the same. And
I hear that they progressively get a little more user-friendly.
Yeah.
Not as a little less cryptid, but
yeah.
I don't know. Still, I'm just like, I don't know.
But no, the games that I really like roguelites because they're permadeath, but they're permadeath with progression, most of them.
Right. As long as the gameplay cycle is fun, I don't mind them. If the gameplay cycle is tedious, then I'm just like, no.
Right. If it's tedious, it has to be enough where you can learn the enemies, the cycles, I shouldn't even mention the name of it right now, so I'm not going to, but it's a roguelike that is of an IP of a company we just talked about. Based off a decompilation of said game about a year and a half, maybe 2 years ago. Maybe of the super variety. It's got like 3 triangles and a princess. Anyway, there's a roguelike game. And it's incredible. Written by one guy. A lot of tongue-in-cheek humor. They at one point you come into some jail cells, and sometimes in the jail cells he spawns himself as a character. He goes, "Hi, I'm Justin, and this company put me in jail because they don't like people using their IP for fan projects." It's fantastic. But it's a roguelike, and it's permadeath. And it's permadeath with no progression. You get nothing. But it is done so in a way that is halfway predictable. And so each floor, the floors get progressively harder. You know that there's certain tells in certain rooms for finding certain items or progressing through the map. You know that floor 6 is a reprieve. It's a town that you can buy supplies from. You know that floor 10 is a reprieve. You know you're trying to get to floor 12. Floor 13 is the final boss, and it holds a secret that threw me for a loop. That was kind of interesting. What's the difference between roguelite and roguelike? Roguelike is a game that is like the game Rogue. Go look up the game Rogue, which is permadeath.
Permadeath with progression.
Permadeath with progression, procedurally generated. And that's the thing. And that's what makes a roguelike. A roguelite is taking elements of that gameplay. A roguelike is that gameplay. It is strictly within the genre, whereas roguelite is taking elements from the genre. But yeah, you progress through 12 floors worth of dungeons, and you collect money and you buy upgrades and everything else, but you're learning the monsters that are on those floors and how to defeat those monsters. And so your first couple of playthroughs, you think, oh, this is just like the game that I played in 1992. And at the start it is. But then by like floor 4, actually floor 3 has the first boss on it. You're like, oh, no, this is significantly different. The enemies are familiar, but they're not the same enemies, nor do they take the same number of swings from your sword to defeat, nor do they move in the same ways. But you learn not necessarily the patterns, but just the movements and reactions and abilities of these enemies, and you figure it out. And so whereas I was getting my ass whooped on like floor 2 or 3, now I'm making it to floor 9 and 10 pretty consistently.
Yeah.
I still haven't completed the final boss, but I have the formula down to beat him, but you have to make it back there to be able to beat him. And so I'm getting close. But yeah.
Well, I mean, the progression you get from roguelikes and roguelites is the same type of elation you get
Streets
from
of Rogue,
Dark
October
Souls.
22nd. Can't wait.
Streets of Rogue.
Streets of Rogue 2. Did you play Streets of Rogue, the first one?
Do I have that one?
You need to play that one. So that is very much the same progression as I just laid out.
I've seen it before.
So Streets of Rogue is 15 floors.
Yes.
15 floors? 12 floors.
It's like the old school beat 'em up Nintendo ones, but it's a roguelike, yeah.
It's roguelike, yeah, and it's beat 'em up Nintendo. But your main character, your player character, could be any one of like 30 different classes. And so there's everything from Crips versus Bloods. And so if you choose a member from this gang, the other gang will hate you. You can play as a gorilla. You don't speak English and shops hate you, but you are friends with other gorillas, and scientists hate you. There's a hacker where you can remotely hack into computer equipment, and there's like miniature goals within the levels that you have to achieve.
Yes, I've seen this game before. I have it on my wish list, but I do not have it.
Get it on GOG.
Okay.
It's super fun and worth a playthrough. Streets of Rogue 2 is coming out, and it's still roguelike, but it's open world permanent environment also.
Oh, okay. So you can save your worlds and keep instead of procedurally generated.
Yeah. Why did YouTube Studio just crash? That was weird.
Oh, did the stream die?
No.
Okay, that's good.
YouTube Studio just went, snap, something went wrong. We didn't drop a single frame, so I'll take that. Okay, cool. Yeah, so it's definitely worth a playthrough, especially if you can get it for like $10.
I've seen it before. It's just like, because like for me, roguelikes, they're hit and miss. I have to like know what the gameplay cycle is like before I'm like going to get into it. Because there's so many that people are like, oh, this is great, and then I would play it and I'm like, I don't really like the gameplay cycle.
Yeah.
And so I just like whatever. I mean, to each their own, I get it, but
yeah.
I have to like it.
But they haven't specifically said, but it sounds like there might be self-hosted private servers.
Cool.
That you can host your own world and invite your friends to.
Okay. And it's a permanent world at that point.
And have persistent universe, but in this world.
Yeah.
It's all procedurally generated. So if you want to generate a city or an environment or a world, then you can do that. And if you don't like it, start over and generate a new one.
Yeah.
But
that's how my son plays Minecraft. So.
Yeah.
I'm done with this world. Let me generate another one.
Right. Exactly.
I'm done with this world. Let me generate another one. I'm done with this world. Let me generate another one.
Yep. But no, it's a super fun game. I can't wait for Streets of Rogue 2 to come out. It's one of my most anticipated games of the year.
Okay.
So I've been on a rogue kick for a while, and so any new roguelike games coming out, I'm just like, I'm gonna get that.
Gonna give it a shot.
Yeah.
There's a ton out there. There's some good ones, but there's some like less than okay ones.
I will make sure you get a copy of the totally not from a large company IP game that we were talking about earlier. I'll make sure you get a copy of that.
Okay.
It's super fun.
All right. What the heck? How come my Steam collection says like, oh no, oh I see it. Okay, never mind. Gotta clear out my search here. I was gonna see how many roguelikes I actually have in my library.
Yeah, I have a lot.
I do too. I mean, because I have a lot in general. So.
Yeah. Uber Sprite says, wow, Rogue 1980. Yeah, it was an early game.
Yeah, it was a very old game.
Yeah.
I remember playing it long time ago.
Hybrid Robotics says, what do you think about Baldur's Gate 3? We love Baldur's Gate 3.
I love Baldur's Gate 3. I think it's great. In fact, the first time I went back to PDX LAN, I think that's the primary game that we played for the whole time there.
Yep.
It was fun.
So Steve Rhett and I did an Act 1 run through of Baldur's Gate 3. And Rhett had played it before, but Steve and I had not.
Yeah.
And so we created a couple characters, and then I think Rhett played as Lizelle. And because you can only have 2 player character creations, because you have to have other characters to drive the story along. So Steve and I both created characters, and we're sitting back to back with each other, like we can't see what the other person's creating. And we turn around, and we had both created half orcs.
Yeah. It was hilarious.
I had a half orc rogue, and he had a half orc bard.
Yeah. No, it was a enchanter, I think.
Enchanter? I thought it was a bard.
It wasn't a bard.
Okay.
I still have him. I still have to go back and where's that? I'll put the screenshot on Discord.
The screen cap was wonderful.
Yeah, I still have it.
So I had pink hair and he had blue hair.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're big fans of Baldur's Gate 3 around
here.
Yeah,
I like Baldur's Gate 3. It's very good. I was a fan of Baldur's Gate 1, 2, and then Icewind Dale,
Icewind Dale,
2.
Yeah. I didn't play Baldur's Gate 1 or 2, but I was aware of them, but I did play Icewind Dale.
Yeah. No, I thought Icewind Dale was like the pinnacle because it focused more on strategy than it did storyline, even though it did have a story, but the strategy behind it, like each encounter you had to really think about what you were doing. Let's see here. Okay, most recent. See
Uber Sprite also wants to know, Steve, do you remember playing Gauntlet with 4 players, 8 hands on 1 keyboard? I never did Gauntlet, but I did do yes, nice. I did do Cyberdogs, 4-player. So Cyberdogs is a DOS game. It's actually an open source DOS game. Was it Cyberdogs that we did 4-player? No, Cyberdogs was only 2. Little Fighter 2. Do you remember Little Fighter?
I don't remember Little Fighter. I don't remember Cyberdogs, but I definitely remember Gauntlet. But I played Gauntlet on arcade because when I was a kid. Oh yeah, also Planescape Torment. I love Planescape Torment. That was one of the heroes too. Go back to that. When I got off the bus, they dropped us off in front of a 7-Eleven, and there was a Gauntlet game at that 7-Eleven, and so I'd grab a bunch of quarters and go play Gauntlet after school. That's what I did.
Nice. Yeah, we had a Tilt arcade. And I used to go there all the time.
Yeah.
Played a lot of Golden Axe, a lot of Sega Rally Race.
Golden Axe, yes.
Yep. All right. I got a couple minutes left. Any questions? Steve, anything pique your interest you wanted to dive into a little bit more?
Okay. There was one thing that we were talking about, how Nintendo is suing Palworld. Right?
Yes. We had hot Palworld talk.
So it kind of boggled my mind because there's this game I played recently. I had it in my library for the longest time, and I played it. It's called Temtem. Temtem. Temtem.
Temtem.
They basically rip off Pokemon. They literally rip off Pokemon. It's a multiplayer game, massively multiplayer. The gameplay cycle is just like Pokemon. You sit there and you collect animals just like Pokemon.
They've even got like iPads on their hips.
It totally rips it off. Completely rips it off. But it's not as popular. It didn't get the splash and the media attention as Palworld, which Palworld, the game cycle is completely different. It's basically a survival horror game. Or not horror game, it's a survival
wow,
game.
I'm watching some videos now.
It's exactly like it, right?
Yeah.
I was blown away. I'm like, I didn't hate the gameplay because this reminded me of Pokemon. But I'm like, why aren't they getting sued? Why aren't they getting like the same treatment Palworld was getting? Palworld is a completely different type of game, but they have like some similar designs to some of their things. These guys not only have similar designs to some of their characters, the gameplay cycle is almost identical.
Yeah. Yeah, Palworld is a live action RPG crafting survival sim. This looks like really tame 165 unique creatures across 7 vibrant islands. Oh, come on!
They literally rip off Pokemon. They literally rip it off. It is almost identical.
Yeah,
with a slightly different skin suit.
Right,
is what it is.
Yeah,
but it's also online. Like you play with other players. You can challenge other players and stuff like that too. So
the thing is, at the heart of the Palworld Nintendo lawsuit, it's not a copyright issue. It is a patent issue.
I understand that. But if you actually look at some of the animals, like, they complained about Palworld, how they copied...
Design is copyright. And no, the lawsuit itself is specifically around gameplay mechanics as they relate to gameplay on the Nintendo Switch.
I don't know how that... I don't even know how that relates. This seems more of like, if they wanted to sue somebody, they could sue these guys.
They probably
could. They have a much better case.
But, and I am not a lawyer, let's disclose that again.
Neither am I.
In Nintendo, or in Japan, in Nintendo, they don't own the country yet, but they're close. In Japan, where this lawsuit has been filed, it is possible to conflate copyright elements of gameplay mechanics or gameplay design with a hardware patent. And that's where this lawsuit is coming from. This lawsuit is alleging that on the Nintendo Switch, only Nintendo is allowed to create a game in which you capture monsters in balls and fight them.
Is Palworld available on the Nintendo Switch?
Whether or not it's available for Nintendo Switch,
it doesn't look like
not.
It is.
It's Xbox and PC. But because the patent exists for a game console which has software in which you can capture creatures in a ball.
But that Temtem game is available on the Nintendo Switch. You could play it right now. It's $44.
Right. And I'm not saying Nintendo won't go after them if they find out about them. All I'm saying is...
I just don't think that they're as popular, and so they're just like...
and that's exactly right. And in fact, the last time I was on, we talked about how Nintendo would not have gone after Palworld, but they got too profitable.
Yeah, I think that's
And so now we're going to strike them down.
Yeah.
It's like,
they want
greasy corporate mother...
They taste the blood in the water, and they're like, oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I do not know anyone who is more hostile to their own community than Nintendo.
Yeah, they're pretty bad, especially when it comes to people who are streaming their own games and actually promoting for free their own product.
Right.
And they just will go after them.
Yep.
I don't know. It makes no sense to me.
Yeah. It makes it really hard to try to support Nintendo.
Yeah.
To be honest. We all complain about crap like this. But you have a Switch.
I don't have a Switch. I don't have a Switch. I don't have a Switch.
I thought you had a Switch.
No. I still have Yuzu installed, to be honest, but no, I don't have a Switch. John has a lot of Switches. John has a lot of Switches.
I have 3.
Yeah.
Um,
But
yeah, no, John does. Rhett has a couple of my copies of games. He still has my Tears of the Kingdom.
okay.
Like, God. I mean, I've been playing it too, but he has my physical copy of Tears of the Kingdom.
Right.
But we all sit here and complain about Nintendo, but at the end of the day, we still give Nintendo our money.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, they do make some fun games. I mean,
yeah,
it's like, I mean, I'm not going to complain about. It's not like they're putting out shovelware or crap or anything like that.
Right.
It's not like they're Ubisoft where they just repeat the same formula over and over and over again with different skins. They actually have some fun stuff going on.
Have you seen Echoes of Wisdom? Like not to like just turn 180, but
I have actually.
Echoes of Wisdom freaking fun.
I have watched some footage of Echo of Wisdom, and it's a completely different Zelda game. I mean, well, you actually play Zelda.
You play Zelda, right?
You actually play Zelda.
What if Zelda was a girl? Right, it's great.
Yeah. Well, no, Zelda. I mean, Zelda is in it. Link is the one that's captured, and then Zelda, yeah. But it's completely different gameplay. She duplicates stuff. She replicates stuff.
Yeah,
which is completely different gameplay cycle than.
It's super interesting.
Link games.
It is super interesting gameplay. It's very innovative gameplay.
Yeah, and that's kind of what they're very innovative with their gameplay.
And it's really hard to like this game as much as I do, but then think about the company that it's coming from.
Yeah.
In the same breath, where they are actively hostile to people like me.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I get them wanting to protect their IP. But I think they're doing it to the detriment to themselves.
Yeah.
But I think they feel that they're popular enough that it doesn't matter.
My question is...
You're gonna buy our product no matter what. Right?
And that's my point.
You're going to be the beaten wife. You're going to come back to me anyway.
Yep.
Doesn't matter.
Is I complain about how heavy-handed Nintendo is as a corporate giant and how much they hate their audience, and their audience just comes crawling back. Oh, by the way, have you played Echoes of Wisdom? Because it's freaking great, and I bought it on day one, and I absolutely love. I'm exactly the problem. I keep giving them money regardless of how much they beat me senseless.
Yeah.
It drives me nuts.
But everybody loves it.
Yep. How to succeed in this world. Be attractive, have money, and Nintendo has both.
That's true. How's that beer working for you? You only look like about halfway done. So it looks like you're going to finish that in the after party. Probably.
That's going to be an after party. I've been sipping on it. It is a beer that is difficult to drink really quickly, which is really good.
Yeah. There's no 13% beer you can chug, dude.
There are some.
There are some, but I mean, you're gonna be hating life the next day if you do.
Right. No. This one, like I said, it's that coffee at the back end. It makes you shudder still. Like I'm an hour into this beer and I'm there with it.
Yeah.
And it's not because it's bad. It's just that.
Well, it's so heavy. You want to sip it.
It's super heavy. Yeah. It is difficult to drink.
Yeah, because like my pumpkin beer, I'm almost done with it because it's fine. It's not. I think it's like 6%, but it's got some nice spice notes to it. It's easy to drink. Not too bad. It's like I said. It's like a night owl.
Mm-hmm. This one is chewy. It's thick. It's warm going down. Oh my God, is it warm going down? It's like a weighted blanket for my insides.
Oh, there you go. That's a good description. The beer is a weighted blanket. So thick and weighted.
Yeah. It's a good beer. Anyway, see how this all ends up on the after party. You can get access by joining the Discord server, and you can get that by joining the Patreon. Yes, my Discord is behind a paywall because it keeps the trolls at bay.
True. But it also gives the people that love you that little extra bit of fun.
That's right. Patreon is but a moat. But it shows that you like the content, you want to support the content, you want to further the things that I do on this channel, whether it's buying really weird, obscure SATA controllers and experimenting with things. And I'm not done experimenting with this server, and I will create a freaking insane server. It's just not going to be today. So yeah, get on the Patreon if you're not already. Head on over to craftcomputing.store. We've got glassware, we've got coasters, bottle openers, all kinds of stuff. All of it designed and made right here in-house by me.
Oh yeah.
It's all great stuff.
He makes his kids do all the slave labor. He's got his kids doing slave labor.
I haven't involved them yet, although my oldest has been asking about ways to earn some extra money, and so
there you go.
I'm looking at actually getting her trained up on some of the laser cutting.
You know what? That's actually a smart idea.
Yep.
She's going to get some practical experience and make some money.
Yep. She's also been asking about, I've been thinking about once we go to start doing Axe Effect, when the retail units come out, because we'll be assembling the retail units here and then sending them onto a retailer.
Easy. It just needs a little bit of, screwing and stuff like that to make them work.
Yep. So yeah, looking at basically hiring her to do some of the assembly. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's really good.
Is there another option to get access to the Discord besides Patreon? I also am on Floatplane. The Floatplane will also get you access. Exploitation begins at home. No, paying an honest living wage begins at home. She's 11. She's not going to make top dollar, but I'll pay her for her work.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I don't believe in family exploitation.
No, absolutely not.
Yeah, if I pay her, it's going to be at least minimum wage. Because that's what a minimum wage should be.
Yeah.
Which, Oregon minimum wage is like $11.90 an hour. So...
For an 11-year-old, that's quite a bit.
That's quite a bit of money.
But then, as an 11-year-old, she'll probably work at it for like 2 or 3 hours a day.
Right.
At most.
Right.
At most, if that. So...
But let's say in 3 hours, she could pretty easily get 20 assembled per hour if she works at it. And so that's 60. That'll cost me, $35 in labor. That's I paid 65 cents per assembly.
That's pretty good. That's not bad.
That's a return on my investment.
Absolutely.
And she got $35 for 3 hours worth of work.
Yeah.
That works out.
She could buy some Robux.
Yeah, actually.
She do whatever she wants.
Yeah. She can learn how to flash them, since you forgot to do it, you son of a bitch. Oh, I fell right into that, you son of a bitch.
Oh, that's low blow right there.
There will be an email sent out tomorrow stating you need to flash your own device. So yeah. Green says, I was kidding, but I like where your head is at. Yeah, I always believe in paying people to do things. So, and paying people honestly. So, yeah. Anyway. Anything good to the order before we close?
I think I'm good.
Cool. This has been episode 353 of Talking Heads. Join us every Wednesday night at 6 p.m. Pacific time for the latest in beer and tech news right here on YouTube. Next week will be a little bit in flux. It might be slightly earlier, might be slightly later, and definitely with some guest co-hosts. So make sure you are subscribed and here, because next week should be pretty fun.
All right, let's mix it up.
Yeah. Other than that, thank you all so much for watching.
Yeah. We'll see you in the after party, guys.
We'll see you in the after party, and as always, we'll see you next week.
See ya.
Cheers, everyone.
All right, good. Didn't have to pee as bad this time. That's good.
Yeah.